I just knew how I felt being a creative person in a blue collar world. And I thought, shit, I'm so trapped in this. So I guess that's when the door opened. I thought you should probably be making your art about this stuff. The human experience in our culture, and then the other stuff about self-doubt, the imposter syndrome, anxiety, depression, love. I thought I should probably be addressing these things. And people can think what they want, you know?
Thank you, Frank, so much for taking the time to speak with me today. I really appreciate it because I've looked at your work on Instagram and it's super cool.
Thank you for saying that. I appreciate it.
Usually I just start by asking how you came to become a metal artist. What was your path?
You know, I was working in construction and but I didn't really feel, you know, and you're working with your hands, you're cutting and measuring, and you have your hands on, I want to say raw materials, like just a lot of sticks, a lot of 2x4s, a lot of big sheets of plywood and drywall. And so I was always kind of had my hands on materials and was turning them into something else. And so I used to make things out of discarded construction materials. And if the foreman would let me, I would say, hey, man, I mean, we're going to throw this stuff away. Maybe I could throw it in the back of my truck and take off. So big chunks of concrete and some steel and lots of wood, lots of siding and stuff. And just to make these big kind of sculptural assemblages, I say. And, you know, there's a lot of places to go with that. And so I was always making stuff that wasn't very good or it didn't have much direction. I just liked the way they kind of fit together. And, you know, my path to metal was pretty serendipitous. I was working on a house in Tampa, a home addition in Tampa, and I could see like 3-4 houses away, maybe a block away, I could see sparks. And they were, and I was like, whoa, what are those guys building? And, you know, it was later in the evening, or certainly right around when the sun would go down. And I could see, and I thought, hey, what are those guys building over there? So I when I got off work, I drove by and I was talking to the dudes, and they're fabricating a big kind of steel gazebo, or at least the bones of this thing. The skeleton of it was this big gazebo. And so I was watching them, and they were all really nice and generous with knowledge. And they're like, hey, put this helmet on and you can get closer, you can watch this thing. And man, so a light bulb just went off and thought, man, this is something I should learn, because look at these guys go. And they were there for 2 or 3 nights. And I went by every night after work. From then on, I just thought, man, if I can save any money, which I was not very good at, I'm going to get a welder. And I'm going to try to do this. Well, I mean, it took 2, 3, 4 years before I could even get my first welder, which was a complete piece of junk. And then I was a bad welder for several years. And then, you know, I talked to some other dudes who were welders. I talked to a lot of guys who were just average welders. So I picked up, you know, I sponged their knowledge. And then I guess I slowly got better. But it was like that logarithmic curve on one project. I just became this solid welder. And then I was like, holy cow, I can make anything out of anything, you know? So it was like the fire was there. And I don't know, something about me and metal, we synced up, you know, vibrationally. It was like, let's make something out of me. And I'm like, I'm here to do that for you. A lot of my earlier work were flat pieces, like they were dimensional, like painting, so like 1.5 inches deep, and then we'll say 18 by 20 pieces. And then I just fastened a lot of metal on there using a lot of kind of metal tiles that were a lot of rectilinear geometry and, you know, rivets and tech screws in to tile the piece together, and then I would use patinas to make it look old and rusty. That was it. And I was just in love with all that geometry, just the way it looked, all the intersections, all of those fasteners. Those were the first ones I made. And I made a bunch of them because a lot of them were just bad. I was like, I can't stop making these. I can't stop. And so I would go and pick up scrap around Saint Pete. There was a guy, Jeff Martin. He had Martin sheet metal. And I would go and pick up squares and cutoffs and just load them in my pickup truck and just go and just mount them to wooden substrates that I would make. But I was like possessed. I made hundreds of them because I couldn't stop making them.
I don't know if this makes sense as a question, but like, what do you think you were saying with those pieces? Like you're making lots and lots and lots of those pieces to communicate what do you think?
I don't think they communicated much in the beginning. It was just to be in love with all that rectilinear geometry. I think what I was saying is, hey man, you might be an artist, because all my work up to that point, all my 9 to 5 and work was employment was such drudgery. So I think what it was just kind of that was me. Not me sticking my nose under the tent. It was more like the tent saying, hey, why don't you look under here? And it's all I wanted to make. So I don't think I was at the point as a creator where I thought I could communicate anything with it. It was just, look how cool this is and how cool it looks. And some people, it just resonated immediately with them. And some people are like, well, what is it? That's kind of the way it is now too, I guess.
One of the things that you wanted to talk about, I think, was when we talk about metal art, what it means to create something that's kinetic or has motion associated with it. So if we move from those initial pieces, which sound like they're kind of very structural, screwed in, quite static maybe. So what was that movement into being more dynamic?
When I started to make my own kinetic art, I thought, what am I trying to communicate here with this thing? And a lot of it turned out to be like I made a bunch of pieces that were in my first real series of pieces. It was called Toil. So there were machines that were just kind of moving slowly and deliberately and kind of grinding out a single, revolution. I've done a bunch of pieces with that pull hammers up and down and hit nails that never go in any further. So it's, maybe and not to get too heavy, just to try to communicate the futility of existence, based on what a large part of it is, or certainly what a large part of my existence has been, just trying to fit into this 9 to 5 structure, doing something you don't care about. It doesn't fill you with purpose. You're just doing it. You're punching this clock. And then you just feel like this machine and you basically are working for Friday at 5 o'clock when this dude hands you an envelope that has a check in it. And you're like, oh my God, I just sold 40 hours of my damn life for this, whatever, $300 back then. So I think that the kinetic stuff is really about trying to communicate the cyclical futility of just being alive in this workplace.
It's interesting because I think the last piece that I saw of yours on Instagram is an umbrella that's going up and down because it's rotating around this really beautiful offset kind of like wheel thing.
Yeah. It's a little balloon.
It's a balloon. It's a balloon. And that's almost the opposite of that. Because I'm like, there's this beautiful ongoing, and it's kind of cyclical, and maybe it relates a bit to what you were saying about working 9 to 5, except it's a balloon. It's really beautiful and it's kind of floating in space.
Right. That's more just like giving a machine a soul. These machines, they grind out their purpose for us. They work tirelessly. We keep them lubricated, and they work tirelessly for the single purpose of making us happy or meeting our goals, meeting what our definition of purpose is. So, and they do it just tirelessly until they break, and then we just discard them. And so if you personify them a little bit, I'm thinking, well, what if a machine just wanted to take a break and just stop and gaze into the sky and appreciate the weather. And then what if like a little balloon floated by? And it was just like, the joy a child gets from just having a balloon and they just gaze up at it like it's magic. But this little machine just kind of has its little balloon, and it'll go, all it's ever done up to this point is just work for us. And all it'll do after it releases the balloon, or the balloon releases it. All it'll do is go back to work. But for that moment, a balloon came by, and there's a part on the lever where the balloon is attached, where the string of the balloon, which is a little piece of copper wire, is wrapped around it, so wrapped around the lever. And so maybe it's kind of holding on to the machine for a little bit. And the balloon is dancing a little bit, and this little machine with a soul is having this moment with this little balloon.
And maybe I would just take a step back and ask you, when you made that transition from the 9-to-5 grind to doing your art, what was that process like for you? What did you go through as you were deciding, I'm going to leave that behind me, I'm going to take on this new identity of myself as an artist?
It took a long time. It was 10 years probably working in construction. There was the transition, and it was cyclical, because sometimes I was like, I'm an artist and look at the stuff I make. But the strange thing was, in the blue collar construction world, you don't always share this stuff with the dudes you work with. I know that it's kind of leading to vulnerability, but they're not the dudes you want to be the most vulnerable around, because they would just laugh politely or completely mock you for thinking that you're some type of artist, right? And sometimes dudes would say, well, I can make that. And I'm like, sure, I guess you could make it. You didn't make it. I made it. And so you could duplicate it for sure. But again, these are the guys you drink beer with and you are stupid with, and you bang nails with them in the Florida heat. And so they're not the dudes necessarily that you open up to about, hey, I had this idea, so I made this piece. What do you guys think? It just does. It's not done that way. So I was lucky enough to, in Saint Pete, there was a gallery called Fusion Gallery, and they were running an ad about, hey, let us see your art. And so I would take these pictures and show them to them. And I was lucky enough for them to be like, holy shit, dude, who are you? And where are you from? Where are you making this? Like, where's your studio? And I was like, there is no studio. There's a backyard, and I rent a room in this house, and this is what I do.
So if I just follow on what you said earlier, those weren't people that you could confide in. Those were your workmates that you didn't want to get laughed at. Today, are there people that you can connect with, that you share, this is what I'm interested in, this is what I want to make, what do you think of this?
Well, I've been an artist for a while now, and I like in St. Pete, like everybody knows me as an artist, so I can share whatever I want with whoever I want now, even if it's way out there. It's like, and I don't mind being thought of as someone, like as a crazy dude or a crazy artist. It's almost fuel, for people to be like, holy cow, that's weird. And I'm like, yes, it's weird. That's why I'm doing it. And weird isn't always, weird can be used in maybe hurtful terms, but I never take it that way anymore. I'm always just like, damn right, it's weird. That's why it's awesome, man,
So how important is it for you to find a community of people that you can bounce those ideas off of? Or do you just kind of go like, oh, you know what? I don't really mind how you react to that. I'm just going to share my stuff out loud. And if people respond to it, they tell me I'm weird. I'm like, yeah, awesome.
Yeah, I guess it depends on I don't necessarily share it the same way with everybody. The general public who knows me as Frank Strunk III, the artist, I give them like a watered down version of it, because you just don't want to overload people to where they're like, oh, they leave. They're like, what the hell was he talking about? I have this guy, David Williams, who is a painter, and he was a mentor. He still is, he's the best dude I know. And it was when I first started, I was doing all the rectilinear geometry stuff. And he supported the idea of me doing it. From the very first damn piece I showed him, he liked it. And I swear, if he had if that dude hadn't said, I think you should make more of this. I want to see more of this. If he hadn't said it, I probably wouldn't be sitting here right now. Because I respect him so much. He's such an amazing painter, neo-pop guy. And if I have any real questions that are soulful questions, I can ask him, and he really does give me the solid answers. I also have this amazing girlfriend, Bethany, who is I pass everything. I bounce everything off of her, and she's a brilliant artist as well. She doesn't really show much of her work, but she's got a really amazing brain. The ideas just bounce, off of it, in between our brains like crazy. And so, that's important. But I think that you got to be careful who you share your ideas with. But as I get older, I can certainly get to the point where I can legit talk myself out of giving a shit what anybody says. If somebody is critical, I can be like, well, fuck. You say that now because it's an idea, but when I make this thing, you're going to be wowed by it. So there's a small component of doing it to defy these people, defy the critics,
So that kind of leads me to ask you then, maybe your idea of what it means to be vulnerable or what it means for you to be vulnerable has changed over the years from when you started to now, where you can just say, oh, I'm going to do what I want to do. And the more you tell me it's weird, the more I'm going after that. Maybe compared to when you first started is different.
Yeah, absolutely. When I first started, I didn't know it took me a long time to even call myself an artist. It was well past like my first art shows that I was in. I would be in group shows in Saint Pete. And there was a time where there's a ton of group shows here. And I put something in it and I wouldn't even tell anybody. And I would never refer to myself as an artist. I would just go and watch everybody. And I immediately thought everyone's work was better than mine. And I just thought, well, a lot of times I thought, well, I'm way out of my league here. And I'm so glad they just let me in this show. But again, I've enjoyed a lot of popularity in St. Pete. And overall, they've been very accepting of me. So I just think that just in terms of vulnerability, I've had a lot of support, which makes it easier for me to say, what do you guys think? What do you guys think of that? Even the hardest stuff, which I feel like, things about depression and anxiety and imposter syndrome and all those things that can just chew me up I'm like, am I just this fake artist guy? And then, Bethany will pull out my portfolio and flip through page after page and be like, dude, you legit made all of this. And you made all of this over the past 15 years. So that is not imposter.
It's nice to have somebody who can help you out of that hole. That's important.
Yeah, it's vital. It's vital.
The public art pieces that you've done, because I'm just interested in how you create art for public consumption, that people who don't know what the intention was, and they don't know maybe who you are, although you're very well known in St. Pete's, but they walk by your pieces. What is it that you're trying to communicate to them?
Well, you know what? When I'm very cautious of accepting public money for something, because I don't want to put out like an ego piece and being like, check this out, look how deep I am. Oh, you don't get it. That's because I'm so deep. When I do public art, I try to do things that are really more about core values and really about the human experience. There's a piece in Gulfport and it's called Big Dumb Heart. And it's this big robot that's down on one knee and he's holding a thing of flowers. He's got this little chest cavity and with a little red heart in it. And he's got a knee, he's down on one knee, like he's proposing to somebody. And it's about being in love. And it's about just how you got this big dumb heart and you're just awash in the emotions of love. A couple of people have proposed marriage right in front of it. So you want it to be of value to them. So I try not to get too crazy or too conceptual. So it's like the human experience. Just about everybody's been in love. They know the feeling. or they know people who've been in love. Older folks can be like, oh my God. And now my son's going to get married, and it just goes, right? And then a little bit down from that one is a dog sculpture, because it's kind of a place where people walk their dogs, and it's called In Dog We Trust, because dogs are awesome. And just about everybody can get behind that. I mean, they have a real broad appeal, and the dog is happy and his tail is up, his ears are all big, he's got a big smile. So, again, I think that if you're going to take public money, you owe a little bit or a lot to the people who are paying for it.
What parts of yourself do you see in those works?
Oh, all of it. Yeah, man. I tell you, even from my high school sweetheart, even when I was little, just the falling in love was the most amazing thing. And, oh, she's the most perfect creature on the planet. And, just deeply head over heels. And then, of course, when, you're in high school and you got to break up, it's the worst thing. It's the darkest. Oh, my God. And, it's years before you ever really recover from the heartache. But, that's just part of the thing. I mean, you got to love completely, and then when your heart is broken, you got to heal that completely as well. So it's just part of the human experience, the human feeling experience.
Are you ever shy about the parts of yourself that you're showing through your work?
Not anymore, because I think in terms, if you're thinking about living a creative life, you got to be willing to be original and authentic. You have to embrace authenticity, and a large component of authenticity is being vulnerable enough to just show everybody, hey, look, I got a big dumb heart. I'm a hopeless romantic. I want to make everything. I want to hug everybody. And I know I got all these tattoos. I look kind of roughy, but I will hug you, man. I tell you, if you come up to me and say something nice to me, you will get a hug. And if you even try to back away, it's too late. You're in the hug zone. And people will be like, I've had a ton of people say, I remember how surprised I was, how nice you were. And I'm like, because maybe I have this gruff exterior and I don't smile a lot. First starting out, I didn't want anyone to know I was sensitive,
I have to tell you, Frank, 5 minutes into this interview, everybody will know you just project, project sensitivity. It's like open as a sensitive person.
Well, that's good. Because the thing about masculinity is there's a thing, boys don't cry, you got to be tough and stiff upper lip and all that garbage. And you can damage young boys, jamming that on them, or, putting that in their gunny sack. Walking around. It's like, if you are happy, if something is funny, you need to laugh your ass off. And if something makes you sad, you need to cry with everything and squeeze every tear out. It is absolutely vital as your evolution as a person, as a feeling entity, as a, spiritual being, having a human experience. All that's really, it's vital to feel all those feelings. When I was younger, I was not that guy. I wanted to make everything look tough and masculine and rusty. And now I'm doing a little piece with a little balloon made out of parchment that's holding the hand of a little machine. I don't know. So I'm like pedal down on the show everybody every feeling thing.
You see that in your work, obviously, very much.
Yeah. I have to now. I just feel like everybody needs to know. It's okay, especially dudes. It's okay to be sensitive. It's okay, man.
Do you ever have people come to your work if you're exhibiting and have those conversations with them? Like, do you get to interact with the people who come to see your pieces? Sure,
absolutely. Yeah. And, I love those conversations. A lot of people don't get what I do all the time. I think a lot of times they don't get maybe what goes into it. Like, they see a price on it and they're like, oh my God, it's just a motor and a thing. And I'm like, no, dude, it's not. This is art. And you either get it or you don't get it. But having meaningful conversations with people who connect with my work is it's just invaluable. It's, I don't want to say it's validation, but it is a little bit of like, wow, you're connecting with this, and now we're connected. So I love it. I absolutely love it.
You've expressed how important it is to be able to have a sounding board, somebody who knows you so well that you can share the things that you're thinking about doing and or experiencing and get great feedback and progress your work from there.
Yeah, it is. And to also help me through the dark times, and then kind of just let me be crazy and weird and just go and float away during the high time. The manic states to where I'm just like, I can do anything. But I mean, a couple months ago, you were saying, I can't do anything. I can do nothing. And it happens like that. The muse takes off and you're like, what the hell am I doing? Like, where am I? It's scary and sad and weird. Everything just gets this kind of gray pallor, and you just kind of walk around the studio. You can only sweep up so many times to where you're just like, what? And you want to feel like the studio is a place where, you feel the most powerful. It's where the making gets done. So to have somebody who can kind of talk you through those downtimes and stuff, I mean, it's good.
Can I just ask, like those dark times, are they related to phases? Like you finish a big piece or you have a big show or is it that like you complete something and then you think, I don't know what's next? I don't know.
Yeah, it's exactly it. Bethany would laugh so much at that question, because there are times when I'll finish a big show or complete a body of work, and it'll be in a gallery somewhere and I'll be done. A lot of times it's right after they hang the show. And I come back and I'm like, all right, well, the opening is in 3 days. And so I'm up for that. And I'm like, digging through my laundry, trying to find a shirt that's clean or that fits. And then we go to the show, and I come back that night, I wake up the next day and I'm just lost. Yeah. And I just think, well, that's it. I'll never do another show. I'll probably never make another piece of art again. And she's like, oh no, what are you doing? And then she's never like, you always say that and blah, blah, blah. She's always just like, it's okay, baby. I know it's a cycle. And it makes me feel like she's even gentle with the way that she reminds me that it's cyclical. But when you're in it, I got to tell you, there is no tomorrow. It's like, I'm done. I'm finished. I got to go get a job at Home Depot now. And I'm just done. I'll never make another piece. Ugh, it's awful. But, I embrace it. I've been at it for so long. I expect it. But when I'm in it, there's no talking me out of it.
She's just there with you.
Yes, I'm very lucky. I wouldn't have created a lot of the stuff I made without her.
I'm enjoying this process so much of talking to different people about their art and why they do what they do and how they express themselves and what they share about themselves through their work. It's fascinating. So thank you so much for sharing that.
Well, thanks for asking me, and thanks for the questions and the input. It means a lot.